Welcome to another great episode by Cultured Unplugged. We're so happy that you have joined us because we've got a special topic to get into. Before we get into any conversation between these gentlemen, go ahead and like, subscribe right down there, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any episode like the one we're going to have right now. Deep into conversation, getting into it with another epic conversation and topic, the portrayal of black men on screen. So a lot to unpack there. And I'm just going to open it up before I introduce these gentlemen. You've already seen them before on previous episodes, but before we get into that, just know from myself, representing Coaching Unplugged as a mentorship brand, as a lifestyle strategy, podcast and platform, this is in no way any type of condemnation to anyone who is in the LGBTQ community, black men who are who are gay, black women who are gay, anyone who subscribes and is in that lifestyle. This isn't in any way intentional to be offensive or anything like that. This is straight up having a decent conversation to talk about more about how black men are represented on screen. Okay, so now that we get that out of the way, I'm going to introduce Sheik. You've already seen him on plenty of episodes. You've seen him on BT Comic View. No, I'm just kidding. You've seen him on many. You've seen him. Hey, I gotta introduce you the right way. Sheik Boogie, as I like to call him, the one of the five horsemen of good moral movies that we go see all the time. It's so good to have you. And then we also got Brian, my man over here as well, the thought provoking philosopher. We've had some many conversations. I had to introduce you guys right, because this right here, let me just say, to have you both in a platform on the show together is, I know it's gonna be monumental. We've got a lot to unpack here with this, and I don't want to waste any time. So I've watched a video recently about this very topic. It was more about the masculation of black men, and in it, on the videos on YouTube, there was a guy who was in Hollywood, and he was talking about the hidden agenda, how Hollywood has this hidden agenda, movies, music, media, and those things like that. I know it's a lot even to bring up that question, but do you feel, and anyone can take this away, and I might even ask Sheik honestly on this one, is there a hidden agenda when it comes down to how black men are portrayed in and around film?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
If you want me to elaborate, it's just this. Someone just kind of just being around some people. They say, "Hey, what do you want?" I say, "What do you want? Why do you want it? What are you willing to sacrifice? What do you want? Why do you want it? What are you willing to sacrifice?" And a lot of people don't really ask that question, and then as a result of that, they just kind of fall into someone else's agenda. And someone else's agenda, they could probably be real crystal clear on those three questions. What do I want? Why do I want it? What do I want to sacrifice? And sometimes it's, I'm willing to sacrifice lives to get my agenda. Okay, so when you ask me something like that, it's like, all right, well, where did this start? Sure, you can look in the old days and there'll be little traits of it, but it's like, all right, well, where's this really blooming and blossoming from?
Okay.
It's like, all right, cool. Well, when did it start? All right, maybe a few years ago. It's kind of, all right, what's happening here? Is there an agenda? All right, who's involved? Let's get to the root of it. What's really popping these days? What's really happening?
Right.
Because everybody in the room is quiet about, hey, something's changing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, or maybe I do, but I'm afraid to say something about it. But the temperature's getting really, really warm here.
Hmm.
Do I draw the line somewhere, boss? All right, so I digress.
No, I mean, you picked up on some of the tempo of that. What we kind of want to get into, and I want Brian to tackle with this one because many celebrities, many other people have spoke out against it, but to certain levels, not to be too blatant or too forceful with it because of a fear of cancellation, of a fear of being ridiculed by the same people who may feel like they are ridiculed as well for the decisions and lifestyle that they have. So there's a lot to even getting into that. So with Brian, how do you feel about it? What's your thoughts on this idea of the hidden agenda?
Um, well, I always say like this, like in any element of like human, the human experience, there are certain like universal facts, and some people can call it forces of evil, some people call it forces of good. This is one fact that I know about human behavior. Extreme human behaviors just don't go away. So the example I'm gonna use for the most extreme human behavior is how you could say black people, you could say African people or people of African descent. There's always been an agenda to minimize our numbers. If our numbers aren't minimized, then there's always going to be an agenda to control our populations. There's always been that tug of war. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, how do we minimize this population, or completely control this population? If I can't control this population, then I have to minimize. And for people to think that they can read about the things that happened 400 years ago in this country, or still happening really, or think about what happened in Haiti, or think about what's happening right now in South Africa and different African nations, if you think that just kind of snuffs out and goes away, then you're not paying attention to anything. Evil does not go away. It just evolves. Just like the other side of it. Just like the light side. The true good, it can't be snuffed out, but there's a balance to everything in this universe. And some of the things going on right now, that it's designed for the average person to not even be able to see it. Like when you're talking to certain people, they find an easy way out. Like black men, how we're betrayed. The easy way out is to talk about homosexuality. That's the easy way out. That's one small tool that is used to, whether it be to shame you, because then if you talk about it and you speak freely about it, you're shaming a whole group of people. That's why when I talk to people about it, that's one aspect of how you basically, the undergirding fact of, okay, how do I go to the source to completely minimize these people and stop them from, let's be real, reproducing. But if I go all the way there, people think, oh, that's extreme. Is it extreme? Is it extreme? Evil does not go away. It evolves. And I think like what we're dealing with right now, it's the evolution of it is on such a deep level that even when people can see it, it makes them so scared that they immediately go into a defensive mechanism and they can't even talk about it.
Okay.
You're not even about being canceled. It's in my
Right.
own mind. I can't reconcile that idea to think that there are elements literally keeping me, wanting me to not reproduce. You know what I mean? And that supersedes me caring about your orientation. That's not about me trying to alienate you in society. That is some deep-seated stuff that just does not go away. And that's one thing that people just can't face. You know what I mean? Like, and I had to be taught this. You know what I mean? But that's my take on it. I don't want to go too deep on it, but I think that is something, like when Sheik said go to the source of it, that's exactly what he was talking about. Like, we're talking about universal truths that we've been dealing with since, forever, for a long time. You know what I mean? So
how are we at this point, Sheik? When we look at what we are being, fed as far as in the media, movies, film, music. What are some examples that you kind of would say you draw from that And this is not just homosexuality. Let me just kind of keep that clear, because we're also talking about characters as far as how certain actors and characters that are played, certain stories that are being told, right? And so some of those stories that are being told have been, as far as I can remember from my research, when it comes down to movies and film, are the somewhat similar types of stereotypes. So you have the one, like black mother, not with a black man, not the household is broken. You see some aggressive nature. They belong in a gang. They're doing drugs. Even when what's glorified in on channels like Stars and those things like that, right? So there's a glorification of drug use and those things like that. So I don't think go ahead and go deep with that, but I want Sheik. What's your thought process on that?
Before I answer the question, and I think it's really the question for me, what I take out of what you're saying is, can I trust the media to give me what I need to know, not what they want me to know? Can they give me just the facts? Can we just be as objective as possible so we can kind of keep things
Mhm.
level, and can we have like a level playing field? Can we just be, so my background is this. I come from West African parents. They migrated here separately, okay? And then I was born in the DC region, okay? So I grew up in a household that cab driver dad, mom's a grocery clerk, all right? So we weren't poor, but we were poor, okay? So we made ends meet, did what we had to do, blah, blah, had family come and leave. Like we would have uncles and cousins just pop in. It's like, 3, 4 at a time. Sometimes we had 2 at the foot, 2 at, okay. So anyway, bottom line is we're in the hood. Like we grow up with more liberal views. That's just what it is. Okay. So my views were liberal, period. Dad was a Muslim, mom was a Catholic. So that didn't work from a spiritual perspective. There wasn't one. Okay, just a lot of confusion. Okay, so no foundation, no fundamental foundation, and then a lot. Then I learned a lot of my friends are just like that, and we grow up in this environment where we're just thinking, oh, this is the way it has to be. This is the way it always is. This is it. But I remember saying, I don't want that. I just remember being clear as day. I don't want that. Okay, homie got killed. This dude is jacked up. He's in jail. My brother escaped the country. You get what I'm saying? It's just all these things, and it was just like, can't there be? My jump shot is not that great. You know what I'm saying? I'm only 6 feet. So grand visions of being the next Allen Iverson, overwhelmingly low. Okay, so I need to figure out, well, what can I do? And there were no great examples other than athletes. Magic Johnson was my guy. Think about that for a second, and really dig deep. But that was my guy. Okay, so now that's what I grew up watching on TV. Be like Mike. Let's really reflect on that for a second too, please. Be like Mike. Really? I love that Ernest Cantor came out with that that video about Nike, and he called out 2 specific names: Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Now we all know, everybody wants the Jays. I want them just like Everybody else did. That was it.
Right.
But no one asked, how do you make it? So anyway, there's this. There's a contradiction. And that's the issue that I have. We all jacked up. I believe in the Bible. So I'm like, all these leaders are jacked up. All of them. So therefore, I'm like, oh, well, that gives me a shot. I can at least find a character I can relate to and say, yeah, that dude jacked up too. Okay? So
Yeah.
I didn't have that as a foundation, right? All I had was these guys, leaders, role models, as the next thing. That was what I grew up at. Here's what else I grew up at: certain music. Jay-Z fan, Guilty as Sin. And I remember Big Pimpin', and I remember playing it hard. Sorry. Cancel.
Yep. Yep.
Double standard. Double standard. Right? So then we go back to agendas. All right, well, who's doing this double standard? Sure, we get on the news. There's bias on both sides. No question about that. But it's just real clear. It's like, yo, all right, well, listen, one's saying, you know what, you can do it. Another saying, no, you can't because someone's holding you down. Well, damn, they were holding me down 20 years ago. Who were those guys? All right, well, I'm hearing the same narrative. Nothing's changing. And we had a black guy in office. So what that told me was, well, hell, he did something. Whether good or bad, we have an example now. If we can't use Christ, I wasn't even saved then. We use, all right, Obama made it. Why can't you? Oh, you still can't make it. Really? All right, well, then we need to really look at that. Here sounds like an agenda. All right, well, what's happening? What's going on in the hood? They say police brutality. Really? Chris, don't get me started. Police brutality. All right. You guys kind of know. I lived in Baltimore for several years. Been up and down DC, doing all the wrong things. Been pulled over. Been there, done that. Got it. And I've heard the stories. But here's what I know more of. I was more afraid of people like you and me in many situations before I was afraid of the cops. Call it what it is. I'm just telling you how I felt.
Now let me ask you this, Sheik, before I go anywhere else. What examples did you pull from that made you feel that way? Like, was it something you watched on TV, a movie? Because I share some of that sentiment with you. I really will say that too. Mm-hmm. But where would you pull that from?
What's my influence? And
I like also Brian to chime in as well.
What's my influence? Where does it start? What's popping? Like hip hop. I grew up as a kid. All right, LL Cool J. All right, I need love. I need the girls. The gold chain. Remember the thick ones, Brian? Super thick. Kango hats. Fresh to death.
Oh yeah.
That's the foundation. That's the foundation.
We got Biggie right here. Biggie was talking about warning.
There we go. Yeah. Everybody wants to be king. Everybody wants to be the king. And don't have one.
Wow.
So I hope that answered your question. Last thing about that was this media is back to agenda. You see it on TV now. I just want to watch a Ravens game. Honestly, I'm not quite sure. I'm just trying to watch a football game. Next thing you know, they show me a guy with fingernail paint. I'm like, all right, I don't know why. I don't really know any guys that do that and watch football. Just my humble opinion. Haven't met them yet. What's going on here? Been watching football for many, many years. I have yet to see a fanatic, you know what I mean, really do that kind of thing. I'm not understanding why that needs to be on a commercial.
Brian, you want to speak on that?
I mean, so I'm gonna preface everything I say with I'm real big on like, constant learning and constantly learning from people like me, like other black men. So I'll say this. What examples you're asking me what examples did I have to pull from?
Right.
Right?
Right.
So I'll say this. The examples I had to pull from obviously could have been the men in my family. It could have been, the engineers in my neighborhood or people that actually had a stake in actually building infrastructure in communities. But of course, those people existed, but that's not what we focused on at all. You know what I mean? Me growing up, honestly, just like you said, I was an athlete pretty much all my life. And then you always had those, the OGs that made a lot of money that more than likely were doing something with computer technology, engineering. But those people were like, yeah, that's Mr. Marcus. We all know him or whatever. He goes to the church or whatever. But moving on, you know what I mean? Thankfully, I never really got into the streets really bad because, my parents kept me pretty busy. And I also saw some things at an early age that, man, it really stuck with me. You know what I mean? And I saw more things over time with it. Not saying I was never in any trouble, but I never tried to be like a street dude, really. And I'm actually glad. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people think they want that and they really don't. You know what I mean? But I'll say this. I had examples. I had good examples, but the overwhelming targeted propaganda towards me and people like me, black men and black women, it's so powerful. You know what I mean? The images that we see from the media, the images that we see from whether it be music, movies, here's the thing that makes it so powerful. Black people set almost every trend, but we don't control any media. Think about that. We're the tool used in just about every trend known to man. That makes a lot of money. That produces a lot of money. But we don't control it. So I think back to, like even Biggie. I think back to when Biggie was coming up, right? And he's just one example. When you go to the root causes or who's actually making money off of what Biggie's doing, it's not Diddy. It's some Caucasian dude that you're never going to know his name. You don't even know these people's names. So when you think about everything turned on us and how we react to things, I don't even really think it's just the media we consume. It's us realizing, again, that word root cause. It's us realizing, do we control anything that we digest? Do we grow our own food? And I'm not talking about what we put in our stomach. I'm talking about what we put in our mind. There's almost nothing you can. I mean, other than YouTube and really like what we're doing right now, it's when something says organic on it, it's not always really organic. You know what I mean? And it's always been like that. It's always been like that. You know what I mean? You can go all the way back to Nat Turner was reading the Bible. You know what I mean? But Nat Turner was reading the Bible, but he was just reading it the way it was supposed to be written. You know what I mean? He wasn't a charlatan. He was a preacher, but he was reading it the way a white man would read that book. You know what I mean? It was like, yeah, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, but God uses us as tools to carry out his vengeance. So you can look at it more than one way. So the agenda I'm telling you, to minimize us, not just in population, but also in prowess, the ability to gain power. And I'm not talking about dominating somebody. I'm not talking about the European form of power. I'm talking about the ability to feed your own people, to protect your own people. These universal elements that God put, or the Creator, whoever you believe in, these elements that he put in us, especially as men, naturally, to cultivate, there are things that are put in messaging to minimize those qualities. And I think that's something that people don't, it's very basic. People try to, dress it up and say, you know, what's Lil Nas X doing? He's more of a caricature. But what he is he's that extreme image. It's like gas prices. Nas X is the $7 gas price. That makes you go, what the fuck is going on? He's that person. So when they raise that gas price to $7 $7, that's Lil Nas X, right? And then they drop the gas price to $5. You like to $5, and you got all these men running around in dresses, and you don't have no images of a black man with a black woman on screen, like being successful and not kowtowing, not being a coward, not being a idiot, not you know, seeing a black guy in Luke Cage. Oh yeah, he's dating a white woman in Jessica Jones, but she's like the white woman that nobody wants. You know, it's always like this degradation or demeaning. It's always it's one or the other. It's a pyramid. You know what I mean? And Dr. Charles Woods talks about this all the time. It's always one. It's degradation, demeaning, or defeating. So you got these elements. I'm telling you, he is designed as that. I'm gonna push the envelope so far ahead. That way, when we sneak all these other messages in here, because you so wide open, no pun intended, we can sneak anything in there. I'm dead. That's how propaganda works. I raise the gas to $10. You lose your mind, then I drop it to $7, and you think $7 is a repeat. That is a major element of what's going on. It's some of the images you see on TV are so shocking, and I have a son who's gay, and I have a daughter who is right now dating a woman. I don't care about sexuality, but I think people get so focused on that they don't understand it's not about that. It is about those core elements of how you, let's be real, reproduce yourself. That's a basic thing. I don't need to talk to you about sexuality. Eventually, somebody got to make babies, and if you're not, and somebody got to make babies who aren't screwed the hell up. And I'm saying that as an imperfect person coming from a broken family and all that. So I've seen it from the negative side. You know what I mean? Somebody has to make new people to carry on legacies, whether it be economically, whether it be spiritually, whether it be infrastructure, educationally. And if you start putting so many obstacles in the way of doing that, it's kind of crazy. And you can't compare it to any other. You can't compare it to European people because there's one aspect that's different. Well, people will say, well, you see the same images. They're victims of the same agenda. Yeah, but we don't got the numbers, though. We don't have the numbers. So we can't afford to be digesting some of this propaganda the way that other people digest. And I think that is a major aspect of why we're so subject to a so-called agenda or propaganda, because we don't really understand like how things work, like the real mechanisms of it. And not, like he said, it's not about police brutality. It's about who runs police departments. It's about why police agencies were even formed. It's not about why you can't get a job. It's about why unions were formed in the first place. You know what I mean? What's the root of why this organization or why these people are in place?
Right. Deep.
You know what I mean? So it's just a lot going on with like things that are targeted at certain groups of people. I can speak for myself. I'm very compassionate to other people's plight, but I don't have, you know, I'm in the ninth round, almost about to get knocked out. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have. You got to hold your own nuts, and I'm not. I mean that with love. You know what I'm saying? I got to worry about my black men. You know what I mean? Like what we're doing. You know, so that's my small take on it. It's just so multi-layered that it's just crazy.
Of course, and I know you've dropped some things that I wanted to kind of pull from the word propaganda, and I know Sheik, I was going to reference something that you said earlier, especially when we're talking about how you were faring, you know, other black men as when you were young. So let me reference a story real quick. When I was, you know, maybe about 8 or 7 years old, I don't think I've ever told anybody this, but I would have these dreams that I'm headed to the to the kitchen, and I'm looking over outside into the window, and there's several cars pulled up, and they all got guns. It's these people coming out of these cars, and they got guns, and they're about to shoot up my house, something like that. And I remember in real life at the time, I would be, ducking. My mom would say, get down, get down. We hear a gunshot. And when we hear a gunshot, we immediately we go down. We're all in fear and all that stuff like that. So, and then you coupling it with some of the stuff I would see on watching TV. Like you had artists that perpetuated the same type of gangster type of music and those things. So that's all we could pull from. And I would be afraid of my own people walking down the street. My mom would say, "Oh, let's not walk down that street because there's a group of black people standing right there on the corner. We don't want to go towards them." And so it's that cycle of that propaganda that we're just seeing and we're being filtered. As I'm growing up now as an adult, there's certain places you automatically like, "Oh, wait a minute, nah, we don't want to turn on that block. We don't want to go to that area right there because something crazy might happen." So my whole thing is, why is it that we're conditioned in that way? Who is what would you say is your form of the root cause that we're pulling from that shows examples of that?
There was a sermon my wife had us and two of our teenagers watch, and it was called "The Sexual Revolution and Its Victims." And forgive me for not remembering the author, but there was 2 points I'm just going to speak on. He said, men and women are now interchangeable. And number 2, sex and babies are separable. Think about that for a second. Men and women are now interchangeable. Tell me I just want to know the truth in it. And are you okay with us having a real, genuine conversation without taking offense? Because I have to draw the line somewhere because I have children.
Mm-hmm.
In that conversation, I heard 27 genders. They didn't know all of them. They were just telling me what they were hearing in schools. Biology teachers getting canceled. Second point, sex and babies are separable. Are separable. What do you mean? Sex and babies are separable. My body, my choice. It took 2. I don't have any say. Maybe I'm not responsible enough to actually handle that, which we can really have a discussion about that. Right. But man, can we maybe at least have a conversation? Give me a shot. Root causes. Kanye West, Chris, I was saying he had a little excerpt in his thing with the Drink Champs. I have not listened to it all, but he made a really good point. He said we in genocide right now. He mentioned the percentage of black babies that get aborted. And it was frightening.
It's crazy how math works.
I never knew. What's the numbers on that?
It was crazy. I unfortunately I don't want to misquote.
You don't even want to know.
If you have an idea, Brian, feel free to throw it out. But he also mentioned this. He mentioned a woman named Margaret Thatcher. Yeah. And then he mentioned relationships with her and Hillary Clinton.
What?
Then you start learning. You start learning certain things. It's like, all right, how do I find, and then you just see things and you hear things and you like, oh, okay, you got that from that. That sounded great.
Hey, Sheik, look at Chris's forehead. Like
I'm very perplexed right now. I'm very perplexed.
Yes, Margaret Sanger, the lady who started Planned
Parenthood.
Okay.
They call it Planned Parenthood. Planned
Parenthood
We just need to go over the numbers. Well, actually, how many did you plan and how many did you eliminate? What should be your name? Let's go over those numbers and see if there should be a name change, or is this some kind of identity crisis also? You don't even know what you're doing. And, I'll be the first to tell you, I've been guilty. And I haven't had a choice. Been guilty on both ends. Okay. So we need to look at that. So it was sexual revolution. Okay. And last key point I wanted to bring up was Chris, they have not taken the red pill. They've been blue pilled. The red pill says truth. Truth hurts. Case in point. Let's be real. Back in the day, they used to love Trump. Let's just keep it 100. Let's keep it 100. He were in rap songs. Everybody wanted to floss like Trump. Whether you like him or not, agree with his views, I'm not talking about that. He was not vilified. He was actually glorified.
Yep.
You're fired. We love it. He gets all the best ratings.
Right.
All of a sudden, tweets, blah, blah, blah. Oh, Trump's a racist. We're just identifying that now? Before we put him on the song, shouldn't we have identified that? He's on my song. I should do some research.
Right.
Oh, he's a racist. Okay. All right. I need to hear a little bit more. So that's what I mean. Red pill, blue pill. Whether you believe in his view, I'm not talking about that right now. Let's get to clarity on some things. The other thing was, Brian brought it up, is nothing's owned. Nothing's black owned. Once I found out that BET wasn't even black owned, that's when my heart shook. Then I said, no wonder. They could have a guy on stage. They could play, here's what I heard. They played gospel music at the beginning of the BET Music Awards. Then Nas made his wonderful grand performance. Then you had some other dude. I saw some girl twerking on him like it was insane. I felt like I was watching what's that movie Ice Cube made with the strippers?
Players Club. Yeah.
I thought I saw a quick excerpt of Players Club.
Players Club, yeah.
Are you serious? Yeah. That's what we look at as Black Entertainment Awards? Very interesting. What do we compare that to? Oh, that's our culture. Really? Can we really be, this is what I learned, Chris. It was something called objective reality. Objective reality. It's from a book, Steve Siebold. He wrote this book called 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class. White dude, sorry. He said, number one, objective reality. He said, take 100% responsibility for anything and everything that happens in your life. I almost screamed. That doesn't make sense. All right. Blame. Go ahead. See how that works
for you.
Because now you're gonna be like Hawk Newsom in New York with the BLM movement of New York. BLM New York, just to be fair with him, he's not BLM, the BLM movement, different group. But he's going around threatening with blood. He's threatening with violence, and he's not canceled. He's actually accepted. Well, what are you gonna go make bloody? What's actually gonna look bloody, and who's gonna be doing it? What's that look like?
That's the key.
Paint that picture for me,
Mm.
Paul.
That's the key right there.
Because every time I see you guys, no offense, I just see something bad happening in our communities. And you're only telling me that it's only cops doing it. You're not being truthful with me now. Let's go over the numbers. I heard somewhere like 11 people got killed by cops, like a year ago or something crazy, like a real minute number.
Right.
I said Baltimore.
Right.
I remember living in Baltimore. It was like a murder a day.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember when that crazy, I think his name's Freddie Gray, Brian,
Yeah, Freddie
when he
Gray.
got
Yeah.
killed in the uproar. I remember watching it, and I remember people trying to get through, and I remember saying those white people in trouble. And here's what I heard. Hey, yo, there go white people. And they go chase them. Objective reality hurts. There's probably racism on both sides, but ours gets kind of swept under the rug because we can run around calling each other the N word, but they can't call us. So we've kind of even made this title to this name where only we can use it. And
Mm-hmm.
we put it in our music. We let that lead us. We let it lead our women. We let it lead our children. Where's it leading us? Abortions more in black communities than anything combined. You got the same leaders telling you the same crap. Then out of the blue, this dude, he racist. All right. Well, then I heard, oh man, he gave more money to the NAACP, not the NAACP, excuse me, HBC, HBSC school, whatever it is. It's like, all
HBCU.
right, well,
Yeah.
that's something. And then I was like, oh, he gave more than any of them did, huh?
Mm.
All right. Well, okay. Oh, this kid Rittenhouse. Last thing, Chris. I don't know if you know this, Brian. I don't know if you know this stuff. Certain news networks won't tell you the truth. The kid is not a racist. He's not a vigilante. He's not running around trying to shoot black people. He killed two white people. He killed two white people. He also shot another white dude. Now they got you thinking it's some dude running around killing black dudes and doing all kinds of. He was there to help people, and he was there to protect his community. Chris, if someone comes to you in your home, I expect you to pop their ass. He's vilified, looked at as someone who's running around, and it's just like, where's the narrative coming from? Who's it coming from? Where's the source? What's their agenda? All right, here we go. They got
So,
two hosts. They got two hosts on prime
yeah.
time. Just go do your homework on them. But anyway, I digress. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna pick. I asked this because I feel like I don't think I mean, obviously he didn't kill black people, and I don't know. I don't want to go too deep into it, but he went. Did he drive from another community, another city,
Let's
to
talk
come to
about it.
this particular
Let's talk
one?
about it. Yeah, let's talk about it.
But why is it? But this is my thing though. I'm not necessarily supposed to be in another community
Let's
and
talk about it,
play
Chris.
this security guard.
Let's talk about the truth. Let's talk about the facts. Okay.
Seriously though, I just
Tell you, I
I don't know.
studied it,
I don't
Chris.
know every
I'll share with you. I
right. I don't
studied
know
it.
everything.
I
I
studied
get you. I don't know everything ins and outs about it,
it.
because I haven't really watched the
Yeah.
case that
Can I
closely.
can I spend 60
All I am
seconds?
saying is,
Okay.
my mom is picking me up to take me to. I'm 17, by the way. Okay, I'm not even supposed to be having a gun on me. Just point blank. 17 years old. I don't have. There's no need gun. Why am I going to? Why am I going to take? Why should a parent take me to be this protector of a community? It's that's troubling to me. I'm trying to
Let's
understand
talk
why would
about it.
she want to pick me?
Here's why. Here's why. You're okay with that woman leading him. His dad lives 20 minutes away. His dad lives on that side of town. That's his dad's community. You ain't gonna hear it. Here's what you're gonna hear. Mom letting some vigilante with a M16 rifle go berserk so you can control gun laws. I heard, and it's all on the video. I heard this guy was actually going there to aid people on both sides. He gets chased. And they have the videos. He gets chased. I saw it. Dude hit him in the head with a a skateboard. Pop him inside the head. Turn around. Pop. Understood. Self-defense. He's running from all those cases. They have footage of him running from all those cases. 2 for sure, I know. The narrative again is this guy's over here chasing people, and they have footage of people chasing him. Why are those people chasing him?
Okay. So Brian,
So we need to get
should he
clear
have
on
been
that
there?
truth. We should get on that truth.
What's that?
I hear you, Sheik.
Can I say one last
Brian,
thing about that, Chris? Because it was one last point I want to make. I'll make it very short.
Okay. Go ahead.
And as far as I take his behavior towards it, here's what I took out of it. That's a young man acting as a man, standing up for something. Police ain't doing nothing. Let's look and review the communities that are being affected by this. Where's it coming from? Who's doing it? Why is it happening? Who are they defending? Jacob Blake. We can go on. So, go ahead.
I was gonna say that was an Oscar performance he put on trial. I'm just gonna say that. Brian, do you feel like he should have been there in the first place? Do you think he should have been there in the first place?
Here's the thing. So again, she got me started on when he said root cause. I would love to be a 17-year-old white man to have the ability to do what he did. Let's just take Kyle Rittenhouse out of it. Let's take the media out of it. This young white man carried a weapon, was transported by his mom, carried a weapon into another community, whether he was there to help or not. Now, the video accounts of certain things that he did don't lend to that. I'm not talking about the media. I'm talking about the video accounts of things that he said and things that he did are contradictory to him just being there to help. And also interviews from black people and white people that were there. It's a lot of contradictory stuff. So I have to pull myself away from what exactly happened. I know this happened. I know this is the first time that I've seen a judge be a defense attorney and a judge in the trial on this case. So my thing about root cause is this. And the thing about Trump, it makes it very apparent. And I'll say this to the day I die. And this is something like, and Neely Fuller puts it so well. He says, if you do not understand that white supremacy takes both sides of an argument, you're just going to be confused. And I think when we watch things like this, obviously, it's the perfect propaganda piece to light a fire under ignorant black people who really don't know how things work, to make them angry. And then they just start saying, okay, all right, white people are racist. And then you have the cowardice black people who see this and they're like, they can accept it in their mind because, of course, we got all the movies. We got the Liam Neeson movies. We got Braveheart. White men can always be vigilantes. They're always there to protect, even though historically they don't protect shit. So but they're always protecting something. They're always running to somebody's aid until they're not. So you know what I mean? Until they're not, then this is just factually proven. Like they're always like, I was there to protect you. We're here to help you. You know what I'm saying? Like you natives, we just want to make you guys civilized. We want to help you. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't want to kill you. And that's what I mean by root cause. I don't know what he was there for, but history has shown the situation and the background he came up in does not lend to somebody who was there to strictly aid. But again, I can't be jaded to the fact that it may be true. But how that trial is being conducted, the prosecutorial and the bench misconduct that's going on in that trial, it's ridiculous. But again, we focus on Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse is just a microcosm of conduct that's going on in that trial. It's ridiculous. But again, we focus on Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse is just a microcosm of it's a judicial system that is a joke. You know what I mean? It's a joke. Like watching that judge, I'm trying to focus on. Like watching that judge, I'm trying to find a testimony because I actually have been following that trial. I'm focused on a testimony to the court. I'm like, is this judge? What is this judge? Is this judge? What is this judge? But it's like that on purpose because it's one of those things where it's a phrase. It's like that on purpose. It's the ultimate. I'm white and I say so. We're going to show you that this trial is completely a fault, but it's like that on purpose because it's one of those things where
brother, would you allow me to argue that?
It's like that on purpose. It's the ultimate. I'm white and I say so.
Would you allow me
We're
to argue that?
We're going to show you that this trial is completely a fault. But it's like that on purpose because it's one of those things where it's a phrase. It's like that on purpose. It's the ultimate. I'm white and I say so. We're going to show you that this trial is completely a fault. But it's like that on purpose because it's one of those things where
let's look at it.
Phrase. It's like that on purpose. It's the ultimate. I'm white and I say so. We're going to show you that this trial is completely a fault.
All right, so let's look at it.
Driving from Detroit, we're going to put it all in your face because you know
very intelligent brother.
You know what I mean? We're going to put it all in your face.
What he's doing
because you know
defending a white man.
You know what I mean? Is Kyle Rittenhouse was Andre Benjamin? Is Kyle Rittenhouse was Andre Benjamin?
3 white men.
Is Kyle Rittenhouse was Andre Benjamin? Is Kyle Rittenhouse
one white man
was Andre Benjamin?
Blunders
To Lansing, Michigan? We wouldn't even be talking about this dude. He'd be
rappers.
Please.
There's a guy I heard.
But again, that's
some kind of murder in Walmart.
That trial is a farce. Whether he's
next
guilty
thing I know,
or not,
he got
irrelevant.
canceled because he did something.
But again,
so Dave Chappelle made this joke about this rapper. You guys know what I'm talking about? Young Baby or something.
But again,
yeah, the baby.
Okay, so he makes this
video
joke
about him recently. Yeah.
Okay, and I find it very interesting that this murderer, whether he's free or whatever, that's debatable. But he's at a grand stage in life because of his musical influence. I look at the halftime show.
It's just
and
an
I hear
observation
Snoop
based on
Dogg,
history.
I hear
But dynamics of how things
Dr.
are perceived,
Dre, and I hear
and
Eminem.
how dynamics of how things are perceived.
God help me out.
And
I'm
how
guilty of listening to them and jamming to their music. It was hot. It was fire. But I think what actual positive things ever happened to me. Okay. I'm trying to think when I think of these guys, Chris, like what positive things did they actually do for me in my life? And I was influenced by them. So then I look at this Rittenhouse situation and I say, all right, well, we ain't really got nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? He popped off what he popped off. What we should be more worried about is like, hey, what are they putting into these kids' ears at the halftime show? What's really popping here? That white thing kind of sounds like that's their crazy asses. Whether they ain't hit one of us. Here's what I know. Like, all right, well, whatever side he was on, he killed some sex offender. I'm not sure why that dude was out. Let's really look at that. Why did he get out? Why is he running around trying to kill people? When he get shot, did he get shot because he was? Let's identify that clearly. And then it's like, why are we involved in this one? What's the agenda here? So I look at both sides. One side says, all right, there's this vigilante guy. He hates black people. Although he didn't kill any of the black people, he hates them, and here's why.
Hey
All
guys,
right,
I
and
can
then I
hear
hear on
you.
the
I can
other
hear you.
side,
Keep
all
going. I
right, well,
gotta grab
there's
my
this
charger. Keep
angel,
going.
and he's, sweet kid, deals with genuine tears. He went up to the, and I'm just like, all
About to
right,
wrap up, baby.
back to truth
About to wrap
again.
up.
You get distracted. Well, who's doing the distraction?
That's all of you.
Who's doing the distraction? What should we really be focused on? Joy Reid? Oh snap! Them black dudes got killed again. Who killed them? It was more black dudes. That's not gonna get me the news. Yo, any kind of BLM stuff popping right now?
I agree with that.
Jacob Blake. Oh yeah, he did it. Well, hold on now. Hold on. I know dudes like Jacob Blake. I need to get clear on. Why did he go to his girl's house? Whoa, what do you mean he walked around? What do you mean he? I know if I get, I need to just shut my ass up and put my head down. I know these things because I've been, whether you agree or not, I have to abide by some kind of law enforcement. All right, he did what? And you got and he's reaching for what? Now there's a riot for him. Who's being affected by it? More black people, huh? Why are they being affected by it? Hidden agendas. Okay. Who's being affected? Who's being affected? Okay. Brian, why is Kyle Rittenhouse affecting you?
Mm.
No, but that's the hot topic. Agreed? You said you watched the whole thing. You said you owned it. So that to me tells me that's someone that's intensely into something. So therefore I do not agree with that necessarily, that you are not involved. Because if you know about it, you're involved. I know why I'm involved. Okay. So why is that relevant? That's what
That
I'm
last
getting
part.
at.
That last part you just said.
Yeah.
That's the part I key in on.
Yes, sir.
That last part that you said. That's what's important to me. It's not that we riot. It's not that we riot. It's not that we rise up. It's that we rise up, but then we say, "I'm gonna kill every person in this room." Mr. Zimmerman, right this way. You can see your way out, sir. Now everybody else, that's the problem I have. That's the problem I have. My thing is this: I don't care about people rising up for the community, but when you said that, who's it affecting? We can argue all day about any point, but that right there is the most important. When are we going to come to the realization that even the people that really are being egregious to our community from the outside, because most of our enemies, we got to focus on what's on the inside first. However, yes, every point that I made had nothing to do with Cal Rittenhouse. I don't focus. It's a hot topic, but what should be the hot topic is I did. Here. So no, I'm
Hey,
involved.
brother, you still
I'm
there?
involved.
I think
I'm
he
involved. But one thing about
yeah, I
me,
think he
Here's the thing, and I'm gonna answer the question. The Kyle Rittenhouse trial is relevant, but it's no more less relevant or no more relevant than any case of this profile, whether it's about a young black male or a young white male. And the one thing you're gonna learn about me, Sheik, is I was taught.
I'm glad he
how
said
to
that,
think,
Chris.
not what to
I'm
think.
so glad he
You know what I
said it's
mean?
not
So
us.
I'm
You
always
damn
going
right.
to look at,
So
okay,
now let's look at
they're
that.
putting this in
Now
front
let's
of us.
look at that. I'm gonna just
I,
keep
I,
going with
and
Why
it.
is this such a high
I know
profile case?
I
I'm
tell
pretty
you,
sure
when I knew it
there's been
that we
plenty
got
of people that are
got
in
you guys
legit
in
militias.
on
And
the
people
show.
don't
It was
understand,
gonna
like,
be
there's militias,
something
people of all
wild.
different
But I just
ethnic
want
backgrounds
to
that travel all
wrap
over
into
and do
this, and
just
I
what
just
Kyle
say this.
Rittenhouse
You know what I
is
mean?
doing. They have
And we covered a
patrols,
lot
they do
of
all kinds
things.
of stuff.
Is
People don't
just
understand
having a
there's organized
central
militias
awareness
all over the
about
country.
what
Why are we
is
focused
being
on Kyle Rittenhouse?
presented
That's what I get.
to you
They're
on
not,
on
but see, this
media,
is me though. I don't
not
expect
taking
everybody to think
everything,
on this level because
for
I
like
went through the
legitimately
whole,
taking everything into
okay,
stock
what
as
am I
far
looking
as
at?
that goes. Now, we
You
did
ask
not
me
take Brian off, by the way. Let me just say that real quick because you already wondering, wait a minute, what happened
the
to Brian?
political
Brian
system
is
at all.
having technical
Then I
difficulties,
progress from
and he went
what
off.
messages
I
am I
appreciate
looking
what he
at
had to
that's
share
making me
because he said a
emotional?
whole lot that I
How
really
do I separate
respect.
the emotion
And it's
and have that
likewise for
objective
Sheik.
light?
And I will say that there was
Talk
so
about
much that I knew needed to be unpacked with this, and it wasn't just going to be about one specific thing as
the
far
trial because
as
I'm looking
where
at
this
how
was.
things
But
play
just to
out
wrap in and
and
just to
what
be
other
able to
people
have
aren't
a
looking at.
central
How the
universal
judicial process
awareness
is
of
playing out.
understanding
You
what's
know what I
going
mean?
on in the
And
media,
here's the
what the
thing:
media is actually
the
presenting
narrative
to
is that
you,
he's vilified and
and
all
have a
this, but
clear
who controls the media again?
knowledge of what does it mean
Network.
for you as a person, as a black
You know what I
man in the
mean?
community.
Because obviously,
Sheik, do
it's
you
not
want
us.
to leave a final thought on that?
We're not controlling this. So
Yeah, I'd like to leave
who's controlling these? Who's controlling these images?
one last thing. Is I'm gonna go back to the whole thing about objective reality. Is all right. What exactly are you defending? Who are you defending? Why are you defending them? What's that look like? And lastly, is this: are the rules being played on both sides fairly? Absolutely not. But damn it, you got to be able to get to some truth. And if you've been going a certain way and you've just been seeing the same thing over and over again, and you have examples of people winning that look like you, and you're still blaming the government, you blaming this, and you blaming that, that's a problem. And now, because of that, there's an absence of men. Men are missing. You can't find them anywhere. Just look around, turn on TV. Particularly, black men are missing, and they're nowhere to be found. And the ones that you try to find, it's just Hollywood's not doing a great job of depicting us right now.
Mm.
Not a good look. Last final thoughts with that. Here's how I can prove it. You can flaunt all of that stuff in front of us like it's crazy, and there's no rules because you got stuff like 11-year-old drag queens and all that crazy, but we can't even bring up the word God in school. We can't even bring up the word God in school. Think about that for a second. Sex revolution is real.
Sheik
Get your armor God
Boogie,
ready.
ladies and gentlemen. Sheik Boogie, listen, man. Yo, 100% appreciate you. Because I know it was a conversation that was going to go so far into it, and you definitely didn't disappoint. Just likewise, like Brian, I take stock into this. I take stock into this, and I will just say again, if anything that we shared tonight or on this particular episode, what we discussed, it was to make you feel uncomfortable. Maybe it was supposed to be. That should have offended you. No, that wasn't our intent. Like I explained earlier, No disrespect. We're just here as black men speaking about black male issues and the things that we see on TV, and what it means for us in our community, whether it be on a liberal point of view or a conservative point of view. It doesn't matter. We're all at this point feel as though the conversation needs to be had, and so it was had. So again, no disrespect, all love, all peace, all respect. And Sheik, I know we'll have you on another episode. I'd love to have you host you on another episode as well. Just like Brian, humbly appreciate your time with us on Coaching Unplugged. As always, make sure you like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more episodes. And I've got to go ahead and close this on out. Have a wonderful time and stay unplugged. Peace.